Hello and welcome to Source Talks. I'm Katja Maria, and in this episode of Source Talks, we're going to talk about the ways that you might be self-sabotaging in your creative work, in your practice, and in the way you put your work out in the world, meaning your artist business. I'm also going to show you 3 self-sabotaging types so that you can get a clearer idea of what might be holding you back. And we'll also cover ways for each type to start shifting from self-sabotage to self-love, showing up fully in your artistry and to be able to create from the source and create a sustainable, joyful life as an artist. Self-sabotaging behavior is one of the most common reasons why artists get blocked, drained, feel that they lose the joy towards their creative work, and that their artist life is out of alignment. So how then can you create an artist life that feels more aligned, joyful, and sustainable, and helps you to get into flow and out of all these blocks and patterns that are based in starving artist mentality, tortured artist mentality, and you name it. It all starts with clarity. When we get clear about what's going on and what is holding us back in our artist life, we can start taking aligned action to create a different reality. So looking first at your reality and becoming super clear about what the limiting beliefs, thoughts, and patterns are that have created that reality, so that you can start shifting these thoughts and patterns and beliefs, because that is totally possible as long as you get super clear about what you're dealing with first. So what I want to share with you now are 3 self-sabotaging types, or personalities, if you may. You might recognize yourself in one of them, or perhaps even in many of them. So try and see which of these 3 self-sabotaging personalities resonate the most in you, sounds the most familiar to you, because that way you can start gaining clarity about what it is that you might need to do in order to shift your thoughts and beliefs and patterns. The first self-sabotaging type is the perfectionist. And you guessed it, the perfectionist is afraid to make mistakes. They set very high goals for themselves and they have super high expectations on themselves. The perfectionist thinks they need to do it all by themselves and find it really hard to ask for help. Usually, it's actually not what people think. People think the perfectionist doesn't ask for help because they think they're the only person who can do the job, which sometimes might be true. Sometimes the perfectionist finds it hard to let go of control, so there's a little control freak in the perfectionist too. But most often, the real reason to why the perfectionist is afraid to ask for help is they are afraid to show the thing while it's not perfect yet. So they are actually afraid of asking for help because that would mean they would need to share the work in progress or share a part of their not yet perfect thing, which is super scary for a perfectionist. The perfectionist is also afraid of disappointing others. And when it gets to getting creative work done, the perfectionist does not get it done because, you guessed it, it's never good enough. The perfectionist might be self-sabotaging their practice by setting super high practice goals and thereby losing their joy and their motivation because they feel like they're never gonna achieve those goals. Or they might even stop showing up for practice, which sounds maybe a bit contradictory because the perfectionist wants to get better and wants to get perfect at everything. But because those goals are so high and those expectations are so high, the perfectionist might end up not showing up at all because they fear that they will fail anyway. If the perfectionist type resonated in you, then maybe you already have tried to overcome your perfectionism by taking another course to perfect your craft and your skill. This is something that the perfectionists love to do. But of course, if you're trying to solve the perfectionism problem by perfecting your skill even more, you haven't actually solved the actual problem. So instead of taking yet another course to perfect your skills, meaning another course in songwriting or another course in vocal techniques, what the perfectionist actually needs is to learn to grow up in public. And growing up in public is safe if you have a support team around you. When it comes to showing and sharing their creative work and putting out new products or projects into the world, the perfectionist is holding themselves back by expecting the thing to be so great before it's out there that it's never going to be done. So the perfectionist really needs to learn that it's okay to share work in progress and to do beta versions of products and projects. Next, we've got the people pleaser. And the people pleaser is self-sabotaging by trying to keep everybody happy. They are afraid to rock the boat and perhaps to have a different opinion or to make choices in their artistic work and life that might mean that some people might disagree. So as you see, the people pleaser oftentimes worries about other people being either upset or unhappy. So they're trying to keep the situation peaceful and under control, and also at the same time make sure that everybody else is doing okay and are happy, but they neglect themselves. And the reason to why the people pleaser doesn't get their creative work done is because they worry what other people might think, or they worry about the impact their creative work or the choices they make in their artist's work and life might have on other people. The self-sabotaging behavior of the people pleaser oftentimes shows up as constantly second-guessing your work. So you're constantly worried about what other people will think, if they will like it or hate it, or if they might get upset about the things that you create and do. And also, you might be self-sabotaging yourself by putting your own needs last. So you're constantly catering for other people and accommodating for other people, and then putting your own needs last. This might, for instance, show up in your time and schedule. So you find it really hard to take the time to practice or to do creative work because you try to be there for other people all the time. And you find it hard to take this time for yourself because you're afraid that other people will think you are selfish, you're letting them down, and so on. This people-pleasing pattern might show up for you in your creative artistic work life as being afraid to speak up when you feel that the decisions that are being made are not aligned with you. So you end up going along with the decision making of others, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in the long run, this will make you feel out of alignment because you never speak up about your vision, your way of doing things, your ideas, and so on. In artist life and work situations, it can be super helpful for the people pleaser to practice putting a little bit of space and time between what is happening and your reaction. So what I mean with this is, in work situations, for instance, things tend to come up that have to do with scheduling and planning, and maybe you're looking at a new project together with your band and you're planning the rehearsal dates and setting up expectations for this project. So rather than saying yes right away to every request, try and practice saying, "Let me think about it," or "I'll get back to it," so that you can create a little bit of distance between what is happening and have the time to then check in with yourself how that feels. Does it feel aligned? Does it feel like a yes? Does it feel like a no? And then you can respond based on that insight. And we also have the overachiever. The overachiever constantly thinks they need to do more or be more. So they're constantly pushing themselves to work harder, to work better, to work faster. They also find it hard to set boundaries for their time and for their energy, and they're oftentimes over-delivering on everything they do. Another typical thing that tends to come up for overachievers is they tend to be the go-to person. Guess why? The overachiever finds it super hard to say no. And of course, since they always over-deliver and work really hard, they end up being the go-to person for all kinds of things and projects. And the reason why the overachiever doesn't get their creative work done is they are either overwhelmed or burnt out. If the overachiever type resonated with you and you recognized yourself in this feeling of overwhelm and drain and exhaustion that comes from having not enough mental and energetic bandwidth and time to really be there for what matters to you the most, then you probably have tried things like productivity hacks. Overachievers tend to love productivity hacks and figuring out how to become the master of your schedule so that you can sort of like try to keep all those balls in the air. And you're even finding yourself looking for hacks when it comes to mindfulness and finding that stillness, because you feel that that would be a way to create more bandwidth. But the problem is you're trying to hack your way to more bandwidth mentally and energetically, and you're trying to hack your way to more time. So instead of trying to be even more productive and hack your way to more bandwidth, you need to learn to tune in to your creative source and to your inner guidance to figure out what are the things that are truly important to you, what things truly matter to you, what truly excites you, so that you can learn to set boundaries and priorities according to that. And I'll be honest with you, shifting limiting beliefs and thoughts and patterns that keep you stuck in self-sabotaging behavior is not something that will magically happen overnight. It's something that we need to practice. But the good news is, if you are willing to do the work, you can transform limiting beliefs and thoughts and patterns and create a new reality, which allows you to experience more flow and joy in your creative work, and to have an artist life that feels aligned and is sustainable. And if that sounds like something you would like to do and dive deeper into, then we can work together in one of my coaching programs. So reach out and I can give you more information on the different ways we can work together. And if you like this video, why don't you click like and subscribe to this channel so you can stay updated on future episodes of Source Talks, where we talk about all these things related to connecting to your creative source and getting into flow so that you can create more and have an artist life that feels joyful and is sustainable. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon in another episode of Source Talks.